podcast. And to let everyone know why the creation of the noisy chair happened, well, people wanted to share their story, concerns, and being loud. Well, I'm here to listen, have an opinion, and talk to people. That's what this is all about. My name is Dave, aka DJ Dave. Love being part of a new journey with amazing people on my podcast. Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Noisy Chair Podcast. And we are episode 210. 210 episodes I've done in the past couple of years. It's actually pretty good. I love doing it. I love having special guests. And I've got a great cat here tonight who is, and he'll talk more about it, but he is running for the mayor of Toronto. I'd like to welcome Toronto's mayor-elect candidate, Peter Handjis, to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming, Peter.
David, thank you very much for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Listen, I think we're gonna have a fun chat tonight. You know, it's just gonna be, about, you, and people want to hear what's happening with you, what you're doing, what's your plans, how are you gonna make this happen, and let's just fucking do it. So, listen, running for mayor, one of the best cities in the world, especially for me. I love Toronto. This is a big deal to want to become mayor. How many candidates are running at the moment?
The current count is 102.
102. Let's put the mic close to you if you can. Just bring it up closer to you. Perfect.
102.
102 candidates. Now, I had to ask him this question probably, a few times, off air. And there are like two candidates that I don't understand why they're like, what is going on. It's like a mockery of our system. But Peter, like, what is it? Like, who are the two they're running for?
I don't know their names, but there's a raccoon and there's a dog.
So a raccoon and a dog are running for the mayor of Toronto.
That's right.
This is a fucking mockery, a joke, to be honest with you.
I personally, so you take mockery, and when you deconstruct it, it's more so to take a shot or have a slight against the system. So you got the raccoon, you got the dog. Okay, so what would the raccoon be pushing for? Basically to trash the city. That's how fed up he is.
So the raccoon wants to trash a city. Doesn't give a shit about anything else. Just wants to trash a city. I mean, pretty much that's what raccoons do. They just trash everything.
Just to be a raccoon, man.
Okay, that is ludicrous. I can't even think about that further on. I mean,
it's hysterical, but
yeah. It is hysterical, but it's also making fun of in a way, it's probably sending a message out. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That, even though it's a stupid idea, but someone's sending a message out, which I get. Okay, and the dog is up for candidacy. What does this dog want to push for?
Okay, so the platform that the dog has is that if elected mayor, the city of Toronto will provide little booties for dogs to wear during the winter to protect their feet.
Okay, again, like, I love animals no matter
Absolutely,
what. Okay,
so do I.
And I just can't even talk about that anymore. I just think about if they got elected, what would it be like in our city? Especially that raccoon. If that raccoon decided to
trash the place,
run the city and trash the place, who is trashing the place? Yeah. Is he just going to give carte blanche to anybody that's in the city, saying, "Go fucking smash this guy's car. Go break into here." I mean, throw garbages all over the place. It is that is.
Well, you know what? For what it's worth, you're going to throw a bone to anything. The squirrel, he's not so in the city either, eh? So,
listen, Pete, I want to know what you're up to. That you're running for the mayor of Toronto. So, have you met the past mayors? Like, have you got to know them? Maybe spoken to them about?
In passing, I met John Tory when he first got elected back in. Back in 2014.
Gotcha.
And it was in passing, public place or whatever the case may be, just a simple acknowledgement of eye contact, mayor. That's it.
Right. Okay.
Rob Ford, when he was candidate for first term that he won, Rob Ford. I was working taste at Danforth, and as candidate, he was sitting city councilor, and he made the passage like all politicians would, along the taste of Danforth, greeting people,
Right.
Talking to people or what have you, and he gave me 5 minutes.
Okay. I mean, that's good. And obviously, when you were thinking about running, you just take that all in. You see what they've been doing. You see what they promised, and what has transpired from that promising of what they decided that they want to do for the city. And sometimes, in most cases, it never even happens.
Right.
Okay. So I get the political side. Sometimes, people just want to puff their chests up and just say, hey, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to make this happen. But realistically, your passion for what you want to see happen in the city, like what is your main focus running for this mayor electorate?
So my passion, to answer the question, is basically on my campaign literature that I want to restore balance and equity across the city.
Okay. So if you can elaborate on that, like, I mean, we have cities, we have our city that we have businesses that are failing because they can't afford the rent. People that actually make a decent living still can't afford to feed their family, that have to go into
Food bank and
the
such.
food banks to help out. It's becoming very common to see that. Me being in the service industry, I can see that there are businesses that are closing down 2 a day.
Right.
Okay. And so to balance out the economy in what you're running for and what you want it to happen, you look at the candidates that have been, I don't know, promising that they're going to, I think, what is it? One of them wants to raise our property taxes. Okay. So just to step back a bit.
After a 7% City of Toronto tax increase that kicked in February.
Right.
Prior to Tory leaving.
Right.
So before the sudden news of crisis of conscience that John Tory had, the budget was scheduled to be tabled. And then the announcement of resignation came before us.
Right.
And somehow, somewhere, they slammed a 7% property tax increase. So you have a fellow competitor that it's okay, just like hike, like put another property tax increase. And it's like, the problem is that you got to rein in spending.
Right.
Okay. I'm not interested in depriving any community across the city. But when you have 25 wards pushing money since amalgamation into the City of Toronto.
Right.
And that money's not trickling upward, okay, into the former North York, Etobicoke, Scarborough. People get pissed off.
Right. Of course they do. I mean, and they don't believe a single word that any of these candidates are saying, right?
Well, with the property tax increase that was suggested, it comes and goes. Like, I mean, if anybody listens to news on social media, television, radio, however you source your news, and how much interest as far as, is it 5 minutes a day that you listen to it? Are you fairly adamant about listening, like what's being said? Property tax increase is not justified in the first 4 years if I'm elected mayor. To rein in spending, okay, would be a good way to go, and I can get further into that. As far as hardships, I'm a blue collar guy now, because we're before us, we're in front of each other. You can see my hands, okay? They're not soft to the touch; they're rough. I'm a blue collar guy. I got a construction background. Now, however, my fellow competitors might be chiming in on how they want to do things. You got to bring back tourism. You got to clean up the streets in order to have people with the deep pockets to put on festivals and bring back factory jobs, because the City of Toronto over the last 20 years has just been pushing manufacturing out of the city like it's like no good.
This is what I don't like. I go into the city. I went to the city last week. I'm driving in, and I'm seeing a ton of friggin' high-rise constructions. But what pisses me off is what they are tearing down historical places of tourism,
Right.
just to build these tall buildings
Right.
that nobody could afford in the city. Okay, we are gonna be the next Manhattan. Actually, we're already almost there, where it's gonna be nothing but buildings. Everyone's contained in the building. You can't leave anywhere. Okay, so when you said bringing back, hard work, the factory workers, tourism, clean the streets up. Those are things that should have been done years ago.
Right.
Okay, we lost a lot of revenue.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think what's going to happen to our city when we don't even have any events happening? We have Ontario Place, we have the amphitheater, Budweiser, soccer, football. But I mean, it's the small festivals that drive economy up. It's the businesses, the small businesses that they build our economy. They kickstart our economy. People make something, people buy it. That's how the economy works.
That's
okay,
right.
We don't need to buy something that's imported in, and in a big box store. And these little guys, the small local businesses, have no other choice but to shut it down. So what I'm trying to get, I don't want to veer off, but I mean, I know I'm going a little bit sideways on it, but it just pisses me off because.
No, because I have a point.
Sure, you go ahead. I mean, yeah,
Okay.
by all means.
So, to continue your point, Premier Ford, over the last several months, there have been announcements. As one example, I can't remember the name of the factory.
Mm-hmm.
It's an Italian company.
Okay.
Pasta, sauces, that type of fare.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they were shopping for North American headquarters, and they decided to have a Canadian operation in London, Ontario, not only as a head office, but also manufacturing. So, good for Ford, okay, bad for Toronto. The city of Toronto needs to step up and inform the international community that the city of Toronto is open for business. Mm-hmm. If there is no reach out like Ford did, now I don't know. There's no. I don't have the secret ingredient or what took place provincially between Ford and this new settler, if you will. Mm-hmm. But he managed to actually land it. Why not have that factory within the boundaries of the city of Toronto? There's so much land available, okay, that is still zoned, industrial use or heavy commercial or what have you. I'm not saying bring chemical, factories back to Toronto like we once had.
Yeah, but it's bringing employees, it's bringing employment, it's driving businesses, manufacturing.
Right.
The thing is that manufacturing in North America, is not. Sometimes it's not feasible because of the all of our resources to make this product is pretty expensive. So that's why they outsource it. Mm-hmm. I get it. So now they're like outsource everything, and then they send it over the border. Then they come back over the border, cross the border again. Taxes go up, tax after tax after tax, and the money and nobody could afford things. So I agree with you. I think they should bring back manufacturing, but they should. What we have to do is we need to make and produce everything in-house locally. We don't need to have to, like, we're buying wheat from overseas, okay? Because all the farmers now, they can't because of the all the chemicals used to make corn. Now it's killing our beef and blah blah blah. Like, there's so much crap going on. Mm-hmm. But to go back to your conversation, I fully believe 100% with you saying we should bring back manufacturers within our radius of Toronto. Mm-hmm. Okay, the affordability of our place of our housing and buildings, and I don't know how we can, because the way the economy is, it's just relevant to what our tax is high and interest rates and everything's going to be going high. But if you were elected mayor, how would you create a system to make the affordable housing and rental and just for the people of Toronto. How would you come up with a solution for that?
Okay, so I want to get back to the initial topic that we talked about. As far as affordable housing, okay, so here's something new. It came into my email this morning, and it's a well-known competitor. I'll leave it at that. And did you hear the good news? The email is reflecting to me. I thought maybe it was spam, but I further looked into it, and this, well-known fellow competitor, they have a plan to bring mass housing online in 6 months. I replied back, 6 months will get you permits prior to building for a residential home, let alone commercial. And you don't know where unions are at or what have you. So without getting into the weeds of things, how I want to approach short-term, mid-term, long-term, if elected mayor, first things first, clean up the streets. There's homeless out there that don't necessarily have a drug and alcohol problem. They're out there. But there's also homeless right now in Allen Gardens. The camps, if anybody hasn't had a drive down Sherburne Street, okay, at Carlton, to have a view of Allen Gardens right now, it is completely tent city. We're mimicking, okay, an American city right now. That's
San Francisco.
That's in your face.
Exactly.
So, if I'm elected mayor, I'll make it a point as a task force coming out of the mayor's office to do reach outs, okay, with public health, with city staff, social services, to go out in the street and find these people. Some people will take the offer right away. Some people will be reluctant because they've been lied to or, like a letdown in the past.
Yeah, they're in defense mode. They're going to say, "What are you going to do for me?"
Okay, and others will be steadfast. No, I want to be alone. For the people that are willing to come in, it's been talked about before. We're using city property. They could be office buildings. They could be, warehousing. It could be. It's city property. I am determined to find out exactly how much is being utilized. So if there's an office space that 2/3 of the floor is occupied, I'll leave it alone. If I find a building that's a quarter occupied and the rest has potential to walk in, do a half decent renovation, and think of a basement apartment where you have a series of rooms, maybe 20 rooms or 30 rooms, and then you have a one big common area on each floor for kitchen, for bathroom, and for recreation. The rest are all going to be dedicated for rooms. It's not going to take a lot of money, okay? When people start throwing figures out there in the multi-millions of dollars of things, just think of a condo that's being built and the money and the effort behind it, the planning, the architecture, what have you. Yeah, that's big money. Because your average condo, they go in and purchase the land before title is given out. Maybe they're in about $27 million for a 300 unit condo. The gravy comes when they start selling everything at $1 million a piece. Right? Not a bad return on your cash.
Sure.
I'm not saying that I need to spend $27 million, but I can take that $27 million and take 5,000 people off the streets within 60 days. Maybe 90 days. So what we have going for us right now during this election, if I'm elected mayor, is that we have the summer months to kind of, soften the burden a little bit. And then by wintertime, you can have a great amount of people off the streets.
Right.
Are they working poor like in Allen Gardens? Then you dedicate space for them. Do they have, drug and or alcohol issues, okay, where it's reflected towards mental health? Then you house them separately. So on a case-by-case basis, what I intend to do if I'm elected mayor is to actually triage these people. However they're found, make the offer.
Right.
They want to go off the street, then the path is set for them.
Right.
And likewise with the mental health aspect, because I think it's like in the last 3 weeks, the city of Toronto declared homelessness as an emergency. What that's supposed to mean, I don't know. Okay, when somebody uses the word emergency, crisis, okay, it's supposed to, give that person that's hearing it, oh my God, but there's no details.
Right.
It's an emergency. Okay, great. Sports coming up next.
Right.
That's basically where the propensity of media is, to give you ever so light scratch the surface of a headline, and we'll be right back after these commercial messages.
They give you zero information on what's out there.
Yeah,
zero.
It's a real pisser, man.
Okay, it is horrible. I like the idea of using buildings that are unoccupied, warehouses that were, even old hotels, motels. Let's just say, get them off the street, get them into their own place. Clearly some prefer not to because they've been there all their lives. Some prefer, let's do it. Because there are homeless people that are not, like you said, they don't have an addiction of any type. They just basically are down on the outs.
You know what, David, let me tell you something.
Okay.
If I learned anything out of the last 3 years, back in 2021, April, May, between the city of Toronto and the province of Ontario saying that pandemic is coming to an end. Did you have a restaurant that sat 30 people? Okay, you get that space back. During the pandemic, it was like slice and dice or whatever the case may be. Up to 80-90% of floor space that a person is renting and expected to pay rent, okay, is trying to figure out how they're going to survive, which led to a point that you made about people falling short today and losing their businesses and such. But back then, up until now, for whatever decisions government had made, we as a society now are paying the price. So if I'm elected mayor, I'm in a position to brainstorm and come up with plans, okay, for the immediate, for the midterm, and for the long term, because if elected mayor, I have 4 years, okay, to sit in that chair and delegate exactly what I would like to take place.
Right.
Have a cooperating city council, pass along ideas, listen to the councillors that are already there prior to me showing up.
Right.
But if I'm elected mayor, hey, good morning. How y'all doing? New kid on the block, right? So I want to be cooperative. There's current chatter how a mayor-elect is going to perform or get along with either the province or the federal government, and it's like I intend to get along just fine because I'm not bashing them. Okay, so where our premier or our prime minister need to be complimented because of the decision that I think is reflective towards positive, I'll make that remark. Hey, good for them. But if I feel that I should give it to them with the bark on, you can count me in.
Right.
Okay. And a nice, polite delivery.
Right.
Right. There's maliciousness and stupidity that's
of
going
course.
on right
But
now.
you need to be vocal about your feelings about the city. This is your city.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you're gonna be bullied or set a distraction so that you can't keep track of your city, then that's what we've seen over the years.
Personally, let me make this thought. I'm under the impression over the last several years, there's so much animosity, there's so much headbutting going on between city staff, its management, its its unionized labor force or what have you. It's kind of like the city of Toronto right now is like working to rule, but there's no picket sign. Okay, there's no garbage can set on fire like you see in the movies. Hey, we're on strike or whatever.
Right.
It's a cold day, and you see the fire going. So minus the fire, minus the picket signs, minus people chanting or whatever. They want this or want that. Your typical strike fare, right? I think that the city has been like operating on a work to rule type thing where things are ever so slow.
Expensive.
Well, expensive.
Okay.
Yeah. Expensive is like through the roof, right?
Right.
It can be contained, but the thing is, new leadership. A guy like me being elected, okay, I bring in no baggage. I bring in no. Okay, I'm elected. I gotta keep in the forefront of my mind that I have to be mindful of this and mindful of that.
Right.
The only thing I'm mindful for is the voter that voted for me, and at that point. The purview out of the mayor's office to have private conversations with different departments, social services, public health,
right.
Toronto Police, et cetera, what have you. And it's like, okay, so like I said earlier, new kid on the block, you guys are here. Now, if elected mayor, is it possible, not to say the old tried and true, can we all get along? I'm here with a mandate. Let's get something going.
Right. Right.
Okay, so first order of business for me is to actually house 5,000 people, okay,
Right.
in a relatively short time as the months go on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have reasonable weather right now. I think by Thanksgiving of this year, it would be a very pragmatic and doable thing to actually take that amount of people off the street and triage them, like I said before.
Right.
From that standpoint, when international investors, local investors, see that the city is making effort to not only give peace of mind to the local resident, that they feel safe riding the TTC, they feel safe walking at night, getting out of a car, getting into a car, whatever the case may be, and nobody's going to pounce on them for
Right.
money, and then they refuse, and to have that belligerence, I want to put a stop to that.
Mm-hmm.
So this way, confidence can come back into the system, into the streets,
Right.
into the vitality, okay, of day-to-day city life.
Mm-hmm.
Once that's realized, when it comes to anybody that wants to make an investment, whether it's leisure, festivals, concerts, whatever, or just somebody that says, you know what, if the city of Toronto actually wants manufacturing, okay, this is our position. What can you give for us? The standard of offering a tax break or what have you is usually the carrot, okay? But at the end of the day, as any politician, myself included, or would be in my case, is to have that success, to make an announcement that, ABC Chocolate Factory decided to relocate in Toronto and start with like 300 jobs. It's a start. When was the last time you had a city of Toronto politician, okay, herald something like this? So what's being heralded now as far as success is all poof, magic and make-believe. It's got to fucking stop.
Right. Yeah. I 100% agree with you. I mean, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors when it comes to people saying they want this, and this, right? But the reality is, I don't think they're on the streets really understanding what really goes on in the streets. Okay? That's one issue. The economy and the economic situation we have is a problem. So we need to get that fixed. But so I'm going to go back and I'm going to come back with some questions for you.
Sure.
Okay. So Toronto, love the city. They have beautiful buildings, historical buildings, but we're building on top of building, on top of building, on top of building. So all those construction workers that, and I know a ton, I'll get to the question, but I know a ton of builders that are actually having issues right now because they're worried about they're not going to sell those units downtown Toronto.
It's already happening.
Right?
Yeah.
So we are already in a recession. Hands down, 100%, we're already in a recession. They call it the silent recession. The media doesn't say a single word about it. Okay?
You can't have mad panic, right?
No, you can't have mad panic. And I get it, and it's, but we have we got to work around this and we have to keep everything, within, we got to be tighter with things. Okay. So as a politician, as your mayor-elect, being the Toronto mayor, we have to cut the spending. Okay. I know that we got to cut spending. We got to save. We got to tell the consumer, listen, if you save X amount of dollars per month, per year, this is what you're going to have, blah, blah, blah. There's money in the system, okay?
Sure is.
That we could afford to keep for ourselves, we could afford to live. But the way the economy is right now, it is ridiculous. We can't.
So let me throw some pet projects at you.
Yeah.
Moss Park, myself, and the organizers behind a nonprofit, I don't have their permission to speak of their name publicly. But if anybody goes to my website, www.electpeterhandjismayoroftoronto.ca, you will find content on what I'm about to speak. The City of Toronto has allotted $126 million to tear down the northern portion of Moss Park and to make it into a new Art Gallery of Ontario looking type of building or what have you, and bring it back as a community center. Now, if anybody knows where Ted Reeve Arena is, Main and Danforth there, Main and Gerrard, that's basically what the current look, to this arena is, right? Back in the 50s, 60s, whenever it was built. And very, very modest
Right.
in comparison to anything else that's built as far as like rink, leisure, sports. They want to tear that down. They've allotted $126 million. To the south of that is the new Crosstown LRT station that is currently being there's soil samples going on before they go into construction mode of ripping out the ground and starting to get into construction. My point. I, along with some great people, serve the homeless meals in front of that property that the city of Toronto wants to tear down. Okay? The pain, the suffering, every time we show up, and everybody's on their best behavior because they know we're going to serve them good food. So the city has decided to allot a good chunk of money in the millions of dollars, but they don't have the heart to, help the less fortunate. That's one example. I can give you examples all day long. How long is this podcast? The point being,
What's the website that's your website? What is it called? What is it?
www.electpeterhandjis, mayoroftoronto.ca.
Elect Peter Handjis,
mayoroftoronto.ca.
Mayor of Toronto.ca. Fuck, why'd you get that long address there? Holy moly.
To protect my name. Because of political campaigns or whatever, if you just buy like one domain or whatever, somebody else can utilize your name for slander.
No, of course. And I'm just kidding, just like 1,000 letters, but so elect Peter Handjis, mayor of Toronto.ca.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got that on the screen right now for people to see. But yeah, to go back to the construction side of things, I can't believe how long, and I don't even know if this is actually, the system that they induced to inject more money into the construction companies, but projects are taking way too long to get started and completed. I understand the permits, but come on, man. I mean, like downtown Toronto's construction sites, there's no way that these construction projects should be taking this long.
Right.
Okay. Billions and millions and billions of dollars injected into these companies, and they just, to me, I think they drag their fucking asses.
I would agree with you.
Right. So I don't know if that is part of your tactic. Like, do you have a set tactic? What I wanted to ask you was, do you have a set tactic on what you're going to present to the people on what you want when you become mayor of Toronto?
Okay, so to get back into affordable housing, I mentioned my initiative, if elected mayor, to take 5,000 people off the street.
Right.
Okay, in a very expedient amount of time.
Right.
Midterm, long-term goal within the first 4 years, if elected mayor, during that tenure, where again, either with surplus City of Toronto land, okay, if it has enough property, if it is sustainable for by public transit, because some of these places are kind of like out of the way. Bermondsey, as an example, Bermondsey and Eglinton Avenue. So there's City of Toronto property down there, but well out of reach. Okay, as far as accessible, bus transit.
Right.
After 6 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night, forget about it. But that's not to say that if a plan could be put through where there could be combination housing, private partnership. Now, it's being floated around right now where, everybody and their aunt, can build affordable housing. It takes planning. The planning is the key, because back to your point that in downtown projects, there's construction projects going on, sprouting up like dandelions or what have you, and they don't offer, a measure of sustainability throughout that community, like a public library, a community center. Now, it might have some type of parquet space because the city mandates it. Okay. Other than that, other than somebody walking out of their condo to take their dog for a walk, that's basically it. If planning this point forward, because nobody's going to be crazy enough to say to the developer, you're midway in your planning, tear down your building because I want it my way. It started, let it finish. As far as going into the future, where if a project is either submitted to the city for review and the city's planning department reviews it and they find gold meaning that we can actually further enhance the project with making a proposal, you're offering to build by your proposal 300 units. What if you partner with the city where on a cost basis, if it's the 300 units are indexed for this amount on a per unit basis to make the project viable for you, why not partner with the city? Because the city already has a percentage type of a quota for new construction being built residential to deem it either geared toward affordable,
Right.
or however you want to term it. So from that point forward, I would like to introduce, a case by cases percentage as opposed to a broad based percentage, just with a number. So you're building, 30 units. Okay. Then what's your percentage toward that? Why not go case by case to the developer and say, you applied for 300 units. Why not build 350 units? The additional 50 belong to the city. You've already met you've already met your threshold of the percentage that you agreed to when you submitted your plans, and the city gave you the go ahead to build. How much extra did the would the actual unit be? An extra 50,000 on a per unit basis, an extra 75,000. That little amount of money, the developer will agree to it. So in other words, if it costs 175,000 for one unit, to be additional built, for the use towards public housing or geared toward income housing, there's not one developer that I spoke to or their associates that refused that plan. And the additional caveat that they like is if you give them a little more density. So if that project is going to be maybe 300 units, about 22 floors, why not go up to 25? Now, for anybody listening right now, if for any reason that people start losing their minds, you're giving in to the developer. No, not necessarily, because the way things are being given to the developer, it's the wild, wild west where right now they're giving the city, the province, they're giving the developers carte blanche to do what the hell they want. From a city's level, if I'm elected mayor, is to say to the developer, it has to conform, it has to meet certain criteria.
Right. You're going to say, this is, in order to get this is what I want to see you do.
Yeah.
This, and this. Perfect. That is, instead of having, like you said, a carte blanche and then just dragging it, you have a certain amount of time to build these units.
Right.
Okay. There's no way that they are lacking supplies. We have a ton of infrastructures to get whatever we need to get to make things happen, construction wise. So that, if we can make that happen where they say, you know what, Joe Blow Construction, they're going to bid on the tender. Okay, you guys got 5 months to build this 50 units. Okay, and this is the budget we have for it. If you can do it, great. That is the basics of how old school we were before.
Right.
Okay, when we're building homes, building, property and that sort of stuff. It doesn't drag on, because when it drags on, they just keep billing the city. Oh, I couldn't get enough workers because the union, whatever it may be. So to me, I think if we hammered that down and reduce the construction, or speed up the construction on jobs, say, you know what, guys, Mr. Joe Schmo, you're off this job. Right. This guy's coming in, and we're gonna clean it, fix it up, and we're done in 2 months. Next.
So there's two things for our listeners to remember. When it comes to a unionized labor force that enters a construction site, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, whatever the case may be, when it's a union job, and I'm pro-union, I'm pro-people, I'm a blue-collar guy. When it comes to unionized labor, they know the pain, okay, that could be kicked in their ass if they're not making time deadlines and certain criteria or what have you, or they're going to get fines or what have you. It is construction projects that might have, think of it as an ice glazed donut. Okay, you know you're going to bite into a donut. You know what the taste of the glaze is. So the glaze, okay, is the most eye level, street level union representation on that particular job site. But the inner part of that donut, okay, is people that are not necessarily unionized labor, subcontracted, like third party. If they make a mistake or what have you, then somehow, somewhere, it's kind of like appeased, okay, in order to shoulder the burden, not to interrupt, okay, that cash cow of development. If it's an outright union job, they're going to make their marks. Now, as far as materials, things have started to come back online, okay, when it comes to the general construction of everything, okay. There are points that I heard like a couple of months ago, whoever was ordering from overseas about maybe 4,000 bathtubs or what have you, it got stuck because of wherever the customs issue was. There wasn't enough people to like delegate authority for the inspections or what have you. So you have these type of like hindrances. Overall, when it comes to performance, this is the way I'm going to enter contracts on behalf of the City of Toronto. I'm going to find out, and I'm going to delegate authority to my staff. If it's union participation that won the tender, part of that final submission, okay, of inking an agreement is making sure that their unionized labor force are not expecting any interruptions. So in other words, if a contract is made today for 6 months from now, it'd be incumbent on the city to find out where the union standing is. Are they coming up on strike, or did they already ratify an agreement, and at least for the city's sake and for the taxpayers' sake, for the 2 years or 3 years that are typical agreed to unionized agreements, that the city is not going to forecast, any blowback, any problems, any delays.
But do you think that's easily managed?
Absolutely.
Because I just feel it's just like a lot of the go for this stuff, and it's a lot on your plate to make that happen, right? If you did delegate your staff for it, so you'd have to build a separate little department that took care of that. So you know what?
No, it's all the infrastructure is already there.
Okay, hey, listen, if that's the case, and then I want that. I want someone to go and say, here, okay, what's happening with this? You're coming up to 3 weeks right now. What's left on the agenda? We got this. Okay, great. Next, check that off the list. Go to the next project.
Right.
So I think that's great.
The infrastructure is already there between the real estate department on behalf of the city. Okay, it's management. Okay, that live, breathe the contract end. Okay, of what the city is to enter in, and it just might be an extra page or 2 or 10 or 20 of additional things to be mindful for if somebody is to submit a proposal and the winning bid goes to that particular tender. Great.
Right.
Now, beyond that, if it's unionized staff, hey, great. I know that they're going to perform. They're going to perform well, and usually they make their target. If not, come under that target to say, you know what, we're a week ahead, a month ahead, whatever the case would be. But they always make their target. Where, okay, city staff, management, planning department, if you're going to enter in negotiations, just make sure up until the time where it's projected for us to have the money ready, put ink today to the paper, have that agreement, and as far as when the initial dates of start, if there's additional work prior to the construction, like soil samples to dig or figure out whatever needs to be figured out prior to the actual shovel going into the ground, where staff will know ahead of time that the position of the mayor along with city council, because I think it would have to be put into a bylaw as opposed to me being flippant about it. Okay.
Right.
And management can undertake that task. Okay. So there's a submission. they look to be in a bargaining position in about 6 months. It may interfere. So you put them on radar. And if it works out, it works out. If they don't get the bid.
Okay. I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, if it's sounds like it got out of control if that was the case.
Yeah.
Which is good. So, I'm liking that. The construction side of things, you got that handled. You want to clean up the streets, homeless people out of the streets, into unoccupied or majority unoccupied buildings.
Yeah. City run.
City run. Yeah, not private. City run, which I like. I like that. So to decrease the crime rate in our city, okay? We hear about carjackings. We hear about, TTC issues, idiots throwing fireworks inside the fucking bus and just assaults on people. How would you address that?
Okay, so I don't want to sound corny, but I was a kid once, but the furthest thing from anybody's mind when we were teenagers is to, light up fireworks, inside of a bus, let alone just having
I don't even know what they're thinking, these people sometimes. It just drives me crazy.
So I don't know if, wholeheartedly, if kids will be kids could
Right.
apply in this place, right? But then again, we live in a world where somebody will think of a brilliant idea and it's like, let's post it to Facebook or
Right.
or whatever other social
I think that has a
media.
lot to do with it, the social media side of it.
You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, because 2 arrests haven't been made, okay, and in two separate incidents, but to get to the heart of the matter, to have vibrancy in the city, okay, to have peace of mind in the city, young, old, and the very young at heart. From a policing standpoint, when police are tied up with calls, and these are repetitive calls, a person reported yelling and screaming. Police arrive. Now they have to assume that call, and they're bogged down.
Right.
The type of policing that I would like to see and be a mayor of, okay, a big metropolitan city like Toronto is, where once the more petty crime, okay, because I deem it as petty crime when if somebody is acting up, they might have something episodic about them for that moment, okay, whether they're truly under the influence of drugs or alcohol, or if they have, okay, a real serious case of where mental health, okay, comes into play for them. If with my program of triaging, when the police start to realize how calls are being fielded into them, other than car accident, other than fire, armed robbery, whatever the case, at that point, the police will be in a position and they will be very, very delighted, okay, to be a cop. To live up to their training, okay, and to live up with the duty and the sworn duty, okay, of living with a sidearm, okay, to uphold the law. There are cops that want to do their jobs. Now, to say that I support the police is an understatement, but I do. To defund the police, I'm not into. But
I think it's a stupid idea.
But
Stupid idea.
But I'm not into carding either. I just want this to make this perfectly
Right.
clear. Okay,
I get it.
Well, now, back to safety. For the immediacy of things, if I was the elected mayor and I'm up to the challenge, is to figure out the mess, the sewage, okay, the raw shit, okay, that people aren't reporting. I will personally go out as mayor, okay, into different communities to see for myself where the problem is, how it's being administered, how it's being handled. And at that point, what type of feedback, what are going to be my learning curves along with other city staff and management and union labor on some departments, right?
Sure.
I don't want to give happy talk. You want happy talk? Listen to conventional news out there. It's available. Today, CBC, this morning, CBC down on Front Street offered a mayoral forum for the top 5 candidates. I just find it funny. Some days it's top 5, some days it's top 6, some days it's top 7. Anyways, so today they had the top 5. And where's my invite? I submitted very, very polite 3-line sentences of I'm running for mayor, I have a campaign office, and I offer air conditioned comfort as a community cooling center with free water for hydration. My telephone number, my address. You think I got one call? So there's conventional media out there. That's my point. And they do their best, okay, to hold the cards tightly up against their chest, not to reveal a lot of shit. I get elected mayor. I'm not saying that I'm going to pull a crew, okay, like it was like, you know, like a filming crew, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No, I'm in this, okay, to be mayor because I care for my city. It's not because I have an itch of ego to scratch or fill. There's murk out there. There's sadness out there. These people need to have a little bit of light, and they will gravitate to that light. The light being the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
They need to feel that they're wanted, as opposed to what's going on right now, being stepped over, stepped on, tossed to the side, and only in feel good times people come up with like these really, really amazing ideas how we're going to do this and how we're going to do that. If that was the case, we wouldn't be in this situation.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of equations that add up to this disaster we have in our city when it comes to that. There's a whole bunch of aspects to it. And the crime side of things, I mean, to go back to that question, just, the police, they're doing their job. And it's difficult to really have to say that, okay, if Mrs. Jones calling for a domestic dispute and it was all smoke and mirrors, well, they sent 2 police officers out there. While there is another situation happening that's a little more serious. So I get that whole logistics side of it. It can be, it's a logistic nightmare to begin with. And I get that. I think that, we have amazing police officers. I think, in my opinion, the police officers of the Toronto Police Force, they're doing what they can with the means they have at their fingertips. Yeah. Okay. I totally get that. So I think the crime side of it, no one could really say to us and say, if I'm elected mayor, I'm going to make sure this, and this happens, and crime will be perfect. Like, we won't have any crime. Nobody's going to have that. Nobody can really promise anything about that. So I totally get that. Crime is a combination of issues that happen, of day-to-day life that happens to them.
Right. Yeah.
They lose their job. They get separated from their family. They lost money, businesses, property. That, to me, drives the crime up. Sure, this whole economy, to me, in my opinion, drove this fucking crime up. People getting frustrated. People are robbing people because they have to survive. Right. So that's as far as I'm going to go on that part. Okay.
Okay.
So I get that. To help eliminate that or trickle that down, or even just you can sit relaxed and put the mic towards if you like. You don't have to be right up there. It's up to you.
Thank you. All right.
So to me, it's a trickle. It's a trickle of events that happen. So if we eliminate some of those events that can make that to help these people out, whether the affordable housing in those buildings, that definitely is going to be a big help.
Right.
Huge help, 100%. So I'm liking that.
Let me interrupt you for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
So over the last couple of weeks or what have you, a lot of emphasis, rightly so, has been on affordable housing. The approach is that they want to build monuments of ego, of accomplishment. So what do I mean by that? If somebody else wins, what is being projected out there, that somehow, somewhere, the magic wand comes out, and you got hundreds of millions of dollars to start building apartment buildings, like condo looking like buildings, right, or what have you, that are supposed to address the homelessness problem, and so on and so forth. Right. So we already talked about planning. We already talked about the logistics end of it. The one thing that these politicians fall short, to reflect, is that There's the monument of Eagle building, okay, towards that accomplishment, okay, that, during my tenure as mayor, I built something that is like Regent Park-ish, okay, or any other community across the city that was wiped out and rebuilt again. Mm-hmm. That's not to say that when it comes, okay, to surplus property, whether it's the city of Toronto, the province of Ontario, or the federal government, especially with the pandemic, and not a lot of people want to go back to work.
Right.
Right? Well, guess what? When you're telling them work from home, guess what? Crowbar is probably going to be the only way you're going to get them off their seat to get into work, because nobody wants to work from home, because now they got to look for it, right? I'm going to work from home. The recent strike with Revenue Canada, those people going on strike, the government is going to be in a position to give up those leases. Mm-hmm. And there's an actual opportunity for the city of Toronto to approach, okay, big landowners downtown and say, okay, do you want to partner? If not, do you want to sell? If not, you're going to repurpose that property or what have you, and apply for a new title, whether it's going to be all condo, hotel mix. I think Toronto could use more hotels, but before we get there, we should actually drum up tourism in order to have that.
100%. We need the tourism back up. 100%.
So there's different ways, okay, to approach, okay, the lack of housing, whether you want to term it as geared to income, GTI, or affordable. There's going to be office buildings. There's people peaking in the United States right now that don't know how the teeter-totter of the economy is going to be there in their reality. And guess what? As we all know, the Americans have a cough, Canada catches a cold, because that's basically the economic trend of it, right? The Americans having a stronger dollar can bounce back a lot quicker. But if a recession or what have you is introduced out of them and it comes up north of the border, as far as anything of, economic stalemate, economic, delay, economic loss or what have you, we have always paid the price. Now, post-pandemic, people don't want to go back to work. There's a lot of surplus property downtown, okay? Very, very underutilized. They're trying to figure out, are we going to go condo? Are we going to sell our assets to somebody bigger with bigger pockets or what have you? It will come to a point, if I'm elected mayor, where I ask city representatives out of the real estate division to approach these people, because the city will know who the contact information is to look up. Approach them. What are they doing with that property?
Right. Don't sit on it. They can't sit on it.
So when somebody says that they're going to build mass developments, you know what? Come back down to earth and let's tether you for a little while. You can be off your feet 10, 15 off the ground, okay, but let's tether you because you're way out there.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's a ton of places that they can go back to.
And the golden one, tearing down the Gardner Expressway to put affordable housing on either side of the lakeshore. That is the biggest fucking pipe dream that it's anybody ridiculous. Can fucking do a bull from, man.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That is the vein to get into the city. Okay, that is the roadway to get to and from, in and out of the city. Okay, you're going to congest smaller streets because they want to tear. No, that's ridiculous. The stupidest thing I ever heard.
So let me go back. As far as what the city can undertake, okay, by its own hand, surplus property, underutilized property, geographically, it makes sense. Basically, might there be some retail element, food, that type of sustainability, TTC access, right, of what's currently within the boundaries of Toronto. The mayor, it would be incumbent on a newly elected mayor to approach the province and to approach the federal government of assets that they have currently in the city of Toronto in that same manner.
Right.
Is it partially utilized? Is it is it totally vacant or whatever? If the building that you're occupying, if somebody is about to walk out of a lease or whatever, let's help out that landowner by making a conversion and going to city council and saying, look, we got a grand opportunity. Let's defer projects like Moss Park. Let's defer projects. I'm not running for mayor to deprive the inner part of Toronto. I'm not running for mayor to deprive anybody in Toronto. I want sensible planning.
Right.
$126 million like the Moss Park project. Okay.
Right.
Another, I think it's...
They got to shut that down. You got to shut that Moss Park thing.
Well, you know what? What I'm trying to suggest here is deferral.
Right.
Okay? Defer the idea. How long?
Sure.
For you know what? Until revenues meet.
Right. Till we have enough money.
Right.
Right. But there's things that could be done way before that.
Another $115 million done at Harborfront or whatever. And I think it's 1.1 kilometers of kayaking experience that you can have.
For how many millions?
I think it's about 115 million altogether.
This is mind-boggling. Like I can know, I can hear, I can see this stuff that happens. The drive-up tourism that you want to bring.
I love it. Oh yeah.
Okay. I think
big priority for me, man.
And I think the fact is we need to have Ontario Place back up and running with events, with like tourism attractions inside Ontario Place. Ontario Place is the iconic landmark of Ontario. It's the only place that we offer that we can do amazing events there.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's, and obviously, the roadways to the Ontario Place are actually not too bad. To get down there, to get downtown Ontario Place, not bad at all.
If the fucking timing lights were correct. I
get it. That's all part of the city structure and infrastructure we have. We have to clean up a little bit here and there. I love the fact that we have people exercising, running, biking, jogging along the lakeshore. I love that idea. Okay.
Yep.
I love to see that continue on, and I think it does continue on all the way across to DVP-ish in that area down there. So I love that. I want to see more of that attraction, and even have like small businesses along that waterfront area all across. Mm-hmm. Drives tourism up. Concerts. Just the only thing that we really have, honestly, is the film festival. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I don't think it drives tourism. It just it can, but it doesn't drive tourism. It drives the Torontonians out of their house to go see the films, to go to the bars, because the bars do so well when it's TIFF, and I love that because that drives the economy.
Yeah, I love the action too, man.
So I think we need more of that. Okay, we need more positive action. We need to entice film crews of nature, like U.S. film crews who want to film. Like Toronto's beautiful places to film movies and TV segments and all sorts of Netflix films and that sort of. We should try to bring more of that up here.
Well, not unless the top branded candidate that is heralded to be in the lead has her way. She wants to destroy the Gardner. She wants to destroy the upper portion of the Gardner Expressway.
That's horrible.
Okay,
horrible idea.
And they want to build affordable housing on either side of the lakeshore. Now the problem is, okay, if anything is to be learned from me being interviewed or anybody approaching me asking me in the future, I don't want to mislead people. Mm-hmm. All right, it's either I'm hungry or I'm not. I'm thirsty or I'm not. I'm running for mayor. I have a lot of sensibility. I have a lot of organizational planning. Okay, and I'm determined. Okay, now when in recent days, good idea to tear down the Gardner Expressway. Affordable housing on either side of the lakeshore, and to mimic what looks on the for anybody that's ever driven down University Avenue, you have lanes going south, you got lanes going north, with basically a succession of flower pots in between intersections for the beauty of it or whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, the problem with tearing down the Gardner to put affordable housing on either side, for over 150 years, CN Rail has easement rights. So did CN Rail approach somebody and say, you know what, if you're mayor, we'll walk away? Don't count on it. This is what I mean by people misleading people. Mm-hmm. Don't make, there's so much, to your point earlier, there's so much pain, suffering, disillusionment, just everything that is like freaking people out on a
Right.
day to day.
It's just a lying, man. It's a lying bullshit happens in there.
What did that person say? It made me feel good for 1.5 seconds. Well, guess what? You know,
Right.
if people don't take to heart to really seriously consider electing me, okay, mayor of Toronto, you're going to have the same fluff, if not worse.
Right.
Okay. All these people that are the top 5, top 6, top 7, fluff, pageantry, no real sense of direction. Okay. My mental health is not your mental health. And for the person that may be listening, what ails them of mind, body, and spirit is not going to be the other person's. When people are looking for, because of desperation, or to listen and have happy talk, man, don't be misled. Right? Really take to heart what people are saying. Okay, radio, TV, however you get your news, if you have the depth for it, if you have the interest for it, and really pay attention to what they're saying.
Right.
I'm going to give it to you as simple as possible, to the best of my ability. And I want a happy scenario for everybody in the city, whether they're a Canadian citizen, newcomer, what have you, to realize and feel benefit living in Toronto. And this way we can thrive. Because to get back to a point about crime, okay, so I mentioned about petty crime, you know, teenagers acting out and stuff like that. Okay, so putting that aside for the moment, if my plan to take 5,000 people off the street, if it is to bear fruit, and the Toronto Police Service starts to realize that their typical calls are not so typical anymore because they're being reduced. Now they're in a position to go out and go get that real bad guy, as opposed to, okay, police being called, somebody's being belligerent, there may be a weapon involved, okay?
Right.
If these people are tended to, now the police can think going after the fucking bad guy all day long for that 12-hour shift.
Right.
Okay? So that frees up resources. Because all of you know, over time, I guess over the last couple of years, people have taken the liberty to really go strong on crime. Recent, you know, jewelry store heists, broad daylight, whatever. It's like a scene out of Heat. I don't know if you've ever seen Heat, right? Where they come into the bank, they start doing the shoot 'em up, maybe a block away or whatever the case may be, and it's like, this is the city that I don't want to be,
Right.
at all.
Right. Well, it definitely drives people out of the city because of that.
Right.
Okay, and it's going to be the point where it's not going to be fun to be in this city. That's why I said it's another Manhattan. It's like there is just residential and commercial buildings with businesses inside residential buildings, and no one has anywhere to drive. They're contained in the city. Okay, I hate that idea. I rather be at, like, I like places more like Young Dundas Square. I want more of those. Okay, I want to have people just to, you know, walk around the city and look and see, CN Tower's there. Not they can't see it because there's so many friggin' buildings in front of them. Right. So to go back to it, I think, you know, you're genuine in what you really want to propose when you become, you know, you're elect mayor. When do you get the opportunity where everybody everybody besides those two fucking things that they're gonna try to become mayor? Do you guys all get together and do you talk to each other? Do you debate each other? How do you campaign your what's your strategy for your campaign?
My strategy is completely grassroots. I'm not taking any donations or funding from anybody. I don't want any call. If I'm elected mayor, I don't want to be in a position to take calls at 4:00 in the afternoon or 4:00 in the morning. Hey, Peter, that comfy chair in the mayor's office, hey? Remember who put you there? I don't want that. So I'm self-funded, grassroots, go out to the public. I have trying to establish some social media presence. Efforting a lot on my behalf. I have paid campaign staff. One's here with me this evening. I also have other people that are efforting on my behalf with my staff, and the rest is all up to God's good humor. Anytime I meet somebody for the first time, there could be the look that, oh, you're running for mayor? I'm really interested in what you have to say. And I give them I offer them my campaign literature, what have you. They read it. This is what we need. There's people that give me the look of, oh my God, what number are you? And I tell them, I'm number 51 on the ballot. And I look them straight in the eye. They know I'm serious. And we have a conversation. Most people that I meet appreciate who they're looking at and who's speaking to them. Okay,
Right.
I've had really, really positive success. If there's 1.2 million people in the city, or whatever the stats are right now, City of Toronto residents, I try to the best of my ability to offer a message, be attentive to the concerns and the needs of where that person might be at. I want to talk about, this is one thing that parents bring up or what have you. Why not bring back after school programs, okay, and fund that? And I say to the parents, athletics is cool. I think basketball, hockey, volleyball offer and demonstrate discipline to the young student because they got to focus and they want to win. Why not incorporate into the after school program of it academics? So basically, I want to go beyond Kumon,
Right.
where for
Is that funded by the government?
a little bit,
It is, eh?
okay, but for the private effort of of what that establishment is for the service that they provide, okay, exceptionality, absolutely. There's diamonds in our city, and they're not being mined.
Right. Of course.
What I want to do, okay, even with my bare, hardworking hands, being a blue collar guy for how many years, is to go and find those diamonds and bring them, okay, to the surface for the world to see. And as these children are in an environment where they can, be participatory with each other and form bond, I believe that this type of mindset will stray them away from any hardship of falling into the trap of drugs or the in crowd. You got to do this, or if these kids get a half decent break, okay, and they themselves feel that they're being appreciated, they're being listened to, they will volunteer, okay, to walk a path, okay, that is destined for them and the good of it. To be among positive people, to be among productive people, thinkers of their day, and going forward. A lot's being talked about the electric car, right? I believe, as a vehicle owner, that the electric car and the internal combustion engine car can live side by side. Why not bring into the academic full as an after-school program introductory theory? Because I'm sure there's kids out there that are interested in this kind of stuff, but it's not being presented to them. It's just one example, okay? There are many examples, whatever the academics is, furthering in English, furthering in math, furthering in science.
Right. I agree with you on that. It takes I would agree on the after school program for kids, for for increased academics or sports. I love that idea.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think if the city can fund a portion of that, or private sector can help out with that, I think it'd be great. These things really help out. Also, parents who work late, that they can't get their kid back in time and pick them up, they can go to this program and hang out and enjoy and learn. Okay, I love that. I enjoy introducing trades to kids. I'm a trades guy. I'm a licensed mechanic. I've been in the cars business my whole life. Okay, and they're not black hands anymore. They used to be, but not anymore. But I love working on cars. Okay, I started at a young age because I was interested in it. And I was brought into that because of school. When I went to auto class, which I think they should bring that back. Auto class Bring back auto class, woodworking, and home ec. 3 fucking things they should bring back to basics of high school. Okay, they should bring that back because that's what entices people to say, hey, you know what? I want to become a chef, or you know what? I'll become an auto mechanic or a carpenter, tradesman, drywaller. That's where it starts. It doesn't start by having kids that are fucking entitled to what they want and things handed to them on a platter.
Right.
Those days have to stop. It has to stop, and like that's a whole different conversation. But it all boils down to, and it can happen where after school programs can entice the Gen X, the younger gens, whoever generations there is out there, to say, hey, you know what? I'm interested in working on cars, or I'm interested in drywalling or carpentry. That's so much money involved in that.
If I can throw to have my cake and eat it too,
Sure.
as mayor, okay, and having
What kind of cake?
Chocolate,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if I could have my cake and eat it too, from a mayor's chair perspective,
Right.
if I'm graced, okay, to be elected mayor of Toronto, with the caveat of with athletics and academics, for the kids that are going to be in like Flynn right away, as soon as they get word, maybe the school offers a note to the parent. If it's parent teacher interview, the city of Toronto, along with the Toronto District School Board, Toronto Catholic School Board, are thinking of these things, to get initial feedback. Once the kids that are informed about this type of concept or what have you, you're going to have on your mark, get set, go. They're going to run to the finish line to subscribe. You're going to have a little bit of hesitancy. Other kids, I'm not so sure, or whatever, right? What I want, okay, this is a big dream of mine, and I know I'm realistic. For the first round of kids, okay, that run to a concept like this, when their peers, I can't find him, I can't find her, they're not online, they're doing something or whatever, where the kids that might have had hesitancy, or that you're too hip to be square, whatever that phraseology is back in the 80s, they're going to see and gravitate, okay, to be part of the in crowd, because the way the in crowd is now, where the focus is on the youngster growing up or what have you, bombarded with social media, bombarded with celebrity-ness, if you will,
Celebrity influence,
right?
Or other influencers.
So if I can be a part of, okay, a system that celebrates education, where you'll have the first round of student being participatory right from the go. Then you have, I feel left out, I think I'm going to go. And it should be a happy medium. It should be, right? Because say what you want about today's youth. I hear a lot of it all the time, different, opinions of lack of focus, lack of participation or whatever. Give them a forum, okay, in order to find and sow their own destiny. And at that point, crime will go down as far as the petty of it, okay? I can't guarantee that no bonehead is going to light up a fucking firecracker in a bus.
No, you can't guarantee that stupidity. You can't guarantee it. The what you can guarantee, and I do see it, and I'm pretty confident about it, is I 100% believe sports, with kids in sports, they will grow up, they will learn how to be respectful to people older than them, respect people that are the same age, respect. So if you're in hockey, when I was coaching hockey, just quick little 2-minute thing.
Sure, man.
I was coaching hockey for a number of years. I coached my kids. I got 3 boys in hockey. Okay. Loved it. I also hated it. Okay. Because kids, you can see different attitudes with kids. And the older they get, the bigger balls they get. Okay.
The chip, right?
Right. So, but to me, when you are the coach and you got a hold of them and you say to them, okay, So in hockey, when they were 12 years old, 10 years old, they'd be in playing AA hockey. They go in with a shirt and tie, carrying their bag. Not ripped T-shirt or shitty jacket. Everybody looked the same, played the part, and was respectful on the coach. When they were playing the game, they respected the ref. They respected the parents. They respected their teammates and the opponents. Yeah, okay, the body checking. That's the name of the game. I'm referring to hockey.
Yeah.
But it could be the same for any sport. I believe sport brings the level of kids to a more respectful stage where they can say, you know what, they understand that might be wrong if I do that. Okay? Or, you know what, I'm going to get caught and I'm going to be fucking thrown in jail for that shit.
Right.
Okay? I believe the sports steers them in a certain direction that's a much more respectful decision making when they get older.
Absolutely.
That's to me, that's what I think.
And it just popped into my head here. By no means am I suggesting or insinuating that I have a version of government looking after your kids. No, that's not the play here at all. What I'm trying to tell people is that for the parent or guardian, paying their taxes
Right.
in order for them to feel appreciated, for the child, okay, to be mined as a diamond, okay, so Tina Turner made recent headlines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where's our Tina Turner here in Toronto? Where is our Denzel Washington? Where's our Robert De Niro? Okay, where is, our greatness? Now, we've had, a little bit of history with greatness,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
But the American end of it seems to always have a replenishment. Okay, here comes a name. They made it big. They made their money or what have you. They went on to greener pastures. Somebody else comes behind them. Us, is like a snowfall. When are we expecting it and how much? Okay, mm-hmm. There's a serious lack. So it's like, from a city standpoint, you put the word out there that under new management is going to take on a whole new level, right? Governing things, better traffic management, better timed, traffic lights. Mm-hmm. That's like low tech. As far as incorporating welcoming programs,
right,
to feel delighted to participate in. I want the city of Toronto to be the jewel of envy in North America. I swear to God. And it's possible if the fucking initiative could actually be administered forward. Like I said earlier about business.
Right.
There's certain benchmarks that investors want. Right. In order to feel safe, in order to be underwritten by insurance that, it's good to do business here.
Right.
Okay. From the standpoint of mining diamonds, we could have, the next great doctor, the next great scientist, the next great actor. But the thing is, you have to have certain key ingredients, in order for, that seed, to take hold and start to sprout and become rooted and grow upward. When was the last time anybody has seen that coming out of our fabric of society?
Well, it's stopped because of our economy. It stopped because of COVID. It stopped because of the city shutting down, and the wrong, to me, in my opinion, the wrong people managing this city. Okay, to me, I think that a lot of it, and I hope that you don't, if you become the mayor of Toronto, that you have the voice of reason and the voice to say, no, guys, we need to do it this way. But then, to me, it's like there's a bully above you that says, no, you're not fucking doing this way. You're doing it this way.
Fuck you.
Right? So, that's
who's this bully?
Well, that's
point the motherfucker out. Man.
Listen, I could name many of them.
I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just that when you want to say that you want to do something, and all of a sudden it gets shot down because the people above you say, no, that's not the way we want it. It's written where it's going to be this way from now on. That's what I don't want to happen. Mm-hmm. Okay, all these little programs we can come up with to steer the people to think that you're doing such a great job. And I'm not nowhere bashing it. I'm just saying, like, and anybody that's in there, that's in the candidate, saying all these little programs are put in there, and everyone gravitates to that. But yet the real problem is this, and this. So I think you addressed one key problem that's major is the homelessness. Is the people that are homeless because of, not because of alcohol or drug abuse. Nothing about that. It's the fact that they lost everything and they have nowhere to go.
Right.
I'd love to see that happen. Okay, that's one thing that I would say, you know what? Check, you got my vote on that. If you're going to make that happen, Peter, then fucking right, I'm going to steer people towards you on that, okay? Raising taxes to pay for this and pay for that, like to raise property taxes. Property taxes, as you said, they're already sky high as it is. My property tax here is fucking ridiculous.
I bet.
Okay?
Nice neighborhood.
Thank you very much. I love it. But it comes with a cost,
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
So,
I feel it.
Yes, housing market has gone up and blah, blah, blah. And now it's coming down. Like everything is coming down now.
Right.
The car market now is, the prices for cars are like they're bombing now. They used to be so high you can't even get a vehicle. And when COVID hit, you couldn't buy a fucking truck because of this, and this. Prices were crazy for mid cars, high end cars. They're all crashing. Everything is crashing, and we don't want people to panic about that. That's why we have to sustain a certain level of, buffer, let's say, so people could afford to eat, drink, live, sleep, and work. So if we bring out if we help out our city to remove the homelessness or help the homelessness to in the right direction, bring back tourism, drive our economy up, okay, bring back manufacturers into our city, that will reduce crime, increase economy, like money, businesses, people going out spending money because they're buying, people are selling, this and that. I still believe that the barter system is going to come back, okay? In certain, not in downtown Toronto, but that's just me thinking I want to keep everything in-house. I think the barter system is going to come back.
I know where you're going, yeah.
Right? So I want people in Toronto to understand that this is our city, okay? This is our city. The mayor has to listen to us, and we'll listen to them, okay? And we'll work with them. If someone's just going to say, we're going to do this, and this, and raise their taxes up to pay for this, and blah, 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 carbon taxes, people are like, well, what the fuck is going on here? You're just band-aiding shit to get things going.
Now, did you say carbon tax, or there's a sale on carbon paper? I'm sorry,
exactly.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, right?
What did you say?
Yeah.
Carbon tax?
Carbon tax.
What a fuck.
Okay? I drive to Woodbridge every day.
Okay.
I'm a gas guy type of car. I don't believe electric cars because I feel that, and I'm just going to do 30 seconds on this.
Sure.
On the electric car, I believe electric cars is going to be a disaster. It's going to fall flat. It's not whatever Ford says they want to bring out by 2035. They actually even said that it's not going to happen, where Ford was going to build all these cars to electric cars.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, we don't even have the infrastructure or grids to power up these fuckers. Okay. Let alone our housing of AC, businesses, normal electricity.
Right.
Introduce millions of electric cars.
Right.
It's not going to happen. This just physically cannot happen. I don't care. Everyone says, oh, we're going to bring this, and this. It's not going to happen. So electric cars, I believe, are not going to happen. It's going to be here, but it's not going to be as what they think it is.
Out
right. So I think the gas car is going to happen. I think hydrogen is going to be a big thing for fuels. They're talking about helium as a fuel. So there's
a trip.
Right. So that there's a lot of pipeline shit that's coming, that's up in the works that are talking about. Right. So I'm veering off to what you want to become and what you want to talk about you. And I think what you're doing is great. I think you got some great ideas. Well, no great ideas, great plan of attack to be, to tell the people of Toronto, this is what I want to do. Okay. Follow me and I will make this happen.
The type of mayor that I want to be, if graced by the Toronto voter, this Thursday, June 8th to Tuesday, June 13th is advanced voting. Please go out. I ask for your support. Peter Handjis, numeral selection number 51. I'm number 51 on the ballot. Okay? Or if you prefer, on Monday, June 26th, in a couple of weeks, final day of vote for me. I want to be a mayor for everyone. For what has taken place over the last little while, if there were, our former mayor, if he was really addressing broad-based, okay, as mayor to reflect everyone in Toronto, things would have been a little bit better, I believe, but obviously that's fallen short. Now, to your point about the electric car, as mayor, I have to take many things into consideration. Mm-hmm. I like Coke, you like Pepsi. So, for the electric car, I'm not saying that the city of Toronto should subsidize or whatever. You want to buy an electric car, you want to buy a scooter, you want to take the bus, all right? I want you to feel that you have that choice. Mm-hmm. People feel punished on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. Okay? Pressure, right.
Million miles an hour. Do this.
Okay. And for whatever time of investment, either intellectual investment, monetary investment, people aren't realizing, anything substantive. Mm-hmm. There's two types of property tax owner. The property tax owner that says, I wouldn't actually mind paying a little more property tax if I actually see my money at work. And, they have their, not necessarily pet projects, but better roads, more schools or libraries. Mm-hmm. Then you have the other property tax owner. I pay. Do I need to say more? I pay.
Right. I want this. And in
the end, like, what in the hell? Potholes, right. This, that, whatever. Right. And the homelessness, city of Toronto, to have that?
Right.
Okay. Ask me 5 years ago. Ask me 10 years ago.
Right.
And people are just like disillusioned. So
right.
There's two camps. The only remedy is to take to heart when I ask for your vote is I will advocate on your behalf, okay, where the city can only do so, provincially, federally speaking, mm-hmm. okay? Give it to them with the bark on when warranted, and offer pleasantries and recognition for anything that they might actually offer as a bonus contribution, okay, to our daily way of life. Beyond that, I know what the city is capable of. Mm-hmm. I know its potential. When I say that there's diamond in the streets, it reflects on everybody.
Right. Of course it does. Peter, I think this is a great conversation that we're having about what is happening with our city, what you see fit that you can make changes to. Not unrealistic. I think there's changes that can happen, right? So, I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
So I mean, if it's, I think this podcast may not reach a bazillion people.
Why not?
But but I think
you lied to me.
it definitely will reach a lot of people. Good following here, and plus we will, listen. You or I did not badmouth anybody by their name.
No.
Okay. So it's not about that. You just want the people to understand is that you're here for them. Okay. You heard what they wanted. You're not just bringing up things that are up in the air like, oh, I should think of something that I'm going to be advocate for and do it. No, the people probably told you, listen, man, there's a lot of people that are out of jobs. There's a lot of people, we just don't have anywhere to go where we can just have a good time with, my friends. Mm-hmm. There's no place to go anymore. Things like that. Drive up tourism. Get across the border people or people across the water, across the pond. wanting to come to Toronto as one of the best cities in the world.
And if you know what, I'll tell you something. I have a plan for that under the tourism board of the city of Toronto, where I asked City Council for $1 million and to set that aside in the tourism budget. In the event that somebody is a repeat visitor to Toronto or a first-time visitor by plane, train, or automobile, once they register in a City of Toronto hotel or any type of accommodation, I can't remember the gig version of
like an Airbnb or something?
Like
yeah,
an
okay.
Airbnb.
Yeah.
As long as you register in the City of Toronto, okay, and can provide receipts where it's like a lottery. You register during your time here, you can buy gas, you can buy food, okay, and enter yourself into a lottery. And basically it would be third party supervised, where all participants, to a maximum of $10,000 per visitor, they can enter their name and they can actually win, okay, their time here once selected, just as long as you
They get comped. Yeah.
Okay, as long as you prove all your
Right.
paper receipts.
That's good
upon
incentive.
being
Sure.
summoned.
It's awesome incentive.
So when I say about tourism, okay, I might be a blue collar guy, okay, like getting my hands dirty, okay, for a living in years past. I have, okay, the forthright of mind, okay, to envision where everybody eats. Mm-hmm. Everybody makes an honest buck. Mm-hmm. Everybody has a good time doing so.
Right.
Okay, and that just furthers and furthers and furthers, okay. You know what? Some years back, the City of Toronto was preoccupied with sloganeering. What's a good slogan for the City of Toronto for tourism? How about you got to be here? You got to be here.
Right. You gotta be down in the city. You gotta be there.
You know, Toronto, you got to be here.
Right.
That's a slogan that I wanted, like,
Yeah.
you know, like spearhead.
Right.
You got to be here.
Yeah. And it's pretty grassroots too. Like, just like, you know, what you talked about your campaign, it's just basics. It's simplicity, non-complicated, no bullshit, not over-promising, under-delivering that you see from a lot of other people. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you had three things that you could do, and if you come up with one that just basically made a huge difference, that's all we want to see. Okay. If we don't see it, it's like anything else. If we don't see actions, if we don't see executions done, then we know it's all smoke and mirrors. But if you just got to be, I know you seem like the type of guy that can vocalize your opinion and vocalize, bark at certain things that have to make a difference on. And I hope that this would happen like if you do get elected mayor, if you are the mayor of Toronto and you manage the city how, by means of how it's running now, basically, but adding a bit of your finesse to it to help the homeless, poverty, crime, this, that, then that's perfect. That's all we need. That could be done.
It's a start.
Right? It's a start. So I wish nothing but the best, Peter. And I appreciate you coming down tonight and talking about, what's going on and what your plans are. 30 seconds on anything you want to talk about to the people on coming to you and saying, Peter, I'm going to vote for you.
My closing remarks are, my name is Peter Handjis. I'm running for City of Toronto Mayor this upcoming Monday, June 26th. I feel your pain. I have spoken to many. I intend to speak to many more. I would like for everyone to listen, wherever they may be right now, listening to this podcast, that better days are ahead. I would like you to have my back with your vote so I can have your back. Okay? I think that's a pretty good trade-off. I don't think I'm asking for overly much. Please, 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 do shop and compare, as the saying goes. In this case here, listen to the current crop of speak that may be uttered for a news headline. I want everybody, okay, to feel homogenous. I want everybody to feel that unity can be put back into community with Peter Handjis as mayor. And, it'll take some rolling up the sleeves. I don't mind getting dirty. I mean that in a apolitical manner, where if I have to go to the field, okay, in order to talk to people once elected mayor, because the city of Toronto relying on census is not going to cut it. I need to know exactly what the heartbeat of the community is, and base my decisions reflected on those viewpoints and that input on a community by community basis. I just find it ironic that this mayoral election, a lot of mine is being paid to Scarborough because the city of Toronto has pissed off Scarborough. Like I said at the beginning, when you have people paying into the system, 20 out of 25 wards, basically the northern half of the city, paying for pet projects and oink oink, okay, down to the city of Toronto, and those dollars are not coming back. No wonder you got all kinds of campaign offices from the top 6 opening up in Scarborough. So I'm going to reflect in my closing thought that I love you. I thank you for listening. I really care about my city. And why I'm running for mayor? I've seen too much blight and it hurts. I can't speak for my other competitors, but I want the city to be in a win for everybody. It can't happen. I ask for your vote. Thank you very much.
Peter?
David, thank you very much, man.
All the best, man.
Likewise.
Hey, thanks for coming to my podcast, and again, I wish you nothing but the best, bud.
Thanks, man.
Cool. Everyone, till then, Nosy Chair Podcast. I'm your host, DJ Dave. Till next time, peace out.